Do you ever notice that some people just look so good? And it's easy to say that it's because of their jawline, being lean, tall, or even their good hair. But it's actually more than that, and the answer is so simple. But before that, you have to understand why some things just look so good. There are certain things that our brain just registers as objectively good-looking pieces, whether it's an outfit, a physique, or even just people in general. A lot of times, these things just follow simple patterns that our brain recognizes as aesthetic. Clean, symmetrical lines, or even smooth surfaces. That's why people with clearer skin are typically found more attractive. And sometimes it's just things that are baked into our brain. For example, we view tall guys as a little bit more masculine. And look, just because I mention things that aren't necessarily tied to you, for example, if you're struggling with acne, it doesn't mean that you can never be a good-looking guy. For example, I'm not tall, but these days that doesn't really hold me back. And that's because there are certain ways to become one of those guys who just looks good all the time. And in today's video, I'm breaking down everything for you to look even better. So let's start off with your face card. Especially if you're lacking on other things, this is something that you really have to focus on. I, for example, had to learn this really early on because I got absolutely nerfed at my height and I capped out at 5'8". Having a pretty decent face card is pretty much essential. And step number one, in my opinion, is depuffing your face. A lot of guys are walking around with a bloated face, and this could be tied to a multitude of different things. Things like a poor diet that makes your face inflamed, maybe you're holding on to too much water weight, or your body doesn't have a good balance of vitamins and minerals. These are pretty much the three main factors of having a puffy face, and having a lean and aesthetic face will objectively make you look better. Even take a look at a photo from me last year. I lost about 20 pounds since then, and it wasn't even 20 pounds of all fat. I did lose quite a bit of muscle mass as well, but that's a topic for another day. You could see a huge difference just on my face. And especially when I take a well-angled photo with good lighting, I look like a completely different person. So aside from the three things that I just mentioned, simply just losing excess weight can make you look so much better. And real quick, huge thanks to Opera Air for sponsoring today's video. Since this whole video is about things that simply just look good, I've extended that into my digital life as well. This has the cleanest and most aesthetic UI that helps you stay focused on what you opened up your browser for. I also love the idea that this was specifically created to make sure that you log off as fast as possible. They've minimized distractions and cut extra clutter to make sure that while you're on your browser, it's easy to get into deep work. I've actually set up mine to have everything that I need in one place, which has saved me so much time from getting distracted on random things, because unfortunately, I am one of those guys who has the attention span of a goldfish, but this has really been helping me regain my focus. And we could all pretty much agree that we should minimize our digital life and get back to the things that are actually important. They also have fully customizable wallpapers, and I keep mine minimal and aesthetic, just like I try to do every other part of my life. And while you're setting this up, you're gonna have the option to block ads and bookmark your main sites. I crafted mine specifically for me, so now I actually view this browser as my online headquarters, and it makes everything easy to pull up in seconds. And one feature that I use pretty much every day is the new flow state feature. They have a built-in curated library of music that helps you stay focused and block distraction. So if you want to take control of online distractions and minimize your digital life, I really recommend giving this browser a try, which you could do so for free using the first link in the description. Huge thank you to Opera for sponsoring today's video. From here, focus on your skin on your face as well. Following a good skincare system that'll clear up your acne, that's immediately going to make you look better as well. And when I say immediately, don't expect results overnight, but as long as you're consistent with your skincare routine and you're using good products, trust me, it's just a matter of time before your skin will start to clear up. And lastly, the thing that I'm focusing on right now is getting a better tan. And that's actually because when you see somebody with really pale skin, it doesn't necessarily look bad, but it is one of those things that is baked into our brains that when we see somebody who has very pale skin, you automatically assume that they don't go outside. And there's something just psychologically attractive of somebody who goes out, who's very social, very charismatic, and you might have never gave it too much thought, but having a tan kind of gives off that vibe. So now that you've built a good face card, the next thing you want to focus on to look better is start paying attention to the way you dress. Having cleaner, more aesthetic outfits is automatically going to put you in a different category of guys. And when it comes to outfits, I always think that cleaner is better, which is actually another psychological trick about looking better. This is no hate to those fashion guys online, but a lot of times when you see somebody wearing a similar outfit in your everyday life, you might think that they are trying a little bit too hard. So instead, having more minimal outfits kind of gives off that vibe that you just look good without even trying. And trust me, there are certain pieces that you should have in your wardrobe that automatically just make you look more intentional whenever you're putting together outfits. For this, all you have to pay attention to is the way your clothes fit. So as of right now, I'm actually getting rid of all of my clothes that are either too skinny or too baggy. I think oversized shirts are completely dead. Now, before you run to the comments and tell me how much you love oversized clothing, keep in mind, I'm just a random dude online. Don't let me tell you what to wear. This is just simply my opinion. I think things like straight cut jeans look way better because having overly baggy pants, again, just makes you look like you're trying too hard. But when you're wearing jeans that are too skinny, that simply just looks off-putting. And I still own some pretty baggy jeans as well. And the way to make that look even better is by having your shirt a little bit tighter and then your jeans looser. These are the most simple ingredients to having an aesthetic outfit. So for the tops, I like slim fits, especially ones that are cropped. Another huge bonus of this as well is that it's going to give you the illusion of looking taller as well. So if you're one of the guys like me who couldn't make it to 6 foot, definitely recommend trying outfits like this one. Now, even if this really isn't your style, the best thing you could do is go online to find outfits that you like, things that you could see yourself wearing, then create a list. Then next time you go shopping, you know exactly what to buy. That's going to save you a lot of money by buying clothes that you're never going to end up wearing. And now you're going to have a wardrobe completely stacked with things that, again, you could just throw on, but automatically look better. And another thing that you should be adding to your wardrobe is texture, especially natural textures. Things like linens, wool, or other things like corduroy or simple designs in your clothing. These are little ways to stand out from everybody else. Because especially as a guy, we are very limited to the clothes that we could wear, which again is why I really recommend focusing on fitting and then texture. And just like anything else, there are certain things that our brain just automatically views as more put together. Things like boots, clean white shoes, trousers, these are going to be your best friend. And by the way, since I'm completely revamping my style and actually trying to dress better, let me know if you want to see a video on that because I'll be more than happy to make that. Okay, now the next thing we got to focus on to look better is your posture. This is great because now you don't have to spend any money to look better. This is simply just on body language. Now before that, let's go over why this is so important. A lot of guys don't know what to do with their body, so whenever they're just standing in a room with other people, they just look awkward, and I hate to say it, but a little bit insecure as well. And just like everything else, there is a sweet spot to this. You don't want to be slouching and looking too insecure, or you don't want to be too pin straight either. Whenever you do this, you kind of look like you're overcompensating. So instead, what I recommend is placing all of your weight into one leg. From here, you could either have your arms crossed, you could let them hang loose, relax next to you, or what I prefer is to make sure that you're doing something with your hands as well. This camera angle, I'm a little bit cut off, but I always talk with my hands. And that even comes down to conversations. Now you don't want to overdo this, but this could be another simple thing that you could do with your hands that just doesn't make you look as awkward. And one thing that I'm really proud of getting better at is eye contact, which is the next thing that you have to focus on to be a more charismatic guy. Holding eye contact also just makes you look way more confident and more secure, especially if you're talking to a girl. You want to do your best to hold that eye contact. Now, unfortunately, this is one of those things that is hard to practice unless you are doing it in real life. And for example, it took me a while to get this down. But once you bake it into your brain, next time you're having a conversation, even if you look away, you'll be able to remind yourself, hold eye contact for a little bit. Of course, work your way up, but I really can't stress the fact that you shouldn't overdo this because sometimes it gets creepy. I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with somebody who holds way too much eye contact. It's okay to break it, but if you can't do it at all, then it definitely does become a problem. Now, in conversation, the next step is to become more articulate. I promise you, becoming better at talking is an absolute cheat code. I think the first thing that anybody can get better at is storytelling. Whether you're talking to one person, a group of people, or even making videos online, storytelling is going to be one of the best skills that you could have. And that's because you're able to hold somebody's attention, which nowadays is so wildly important because nobody can pay attention to anything. And the reason why that's so important is because this is going to make people remember you, because you are no longer just a dull conversation. You're instead that interesting guy that they met. Okay, now let's talk about arguably the most important thing to making sure that you always look good, and that is your physique. Now, before you get mad at me, I'm not saying if you don't have a good physique that you could never look good, but what I am saying is the better your physique, the better you'll look. Let's just talk about clothing once again. When you are fit, I love the idea of being fit is the fit, because when you have a good physique, you could practically wear anything and it'll look good. So if you're just getting started into fitness and you want to immediately look better, then here are the muscle groups to focus on. First of all, I think the shoulders are wildly important. Then you should focus on your chest. And then of course, you can't skip legs. I think these three are the most important muscle groups because this is what really shows when you're wearing clothes. But if you want to look your best and look better at places that don't require a shirt, for example, beaches or the pool, then obviously you got to focus on being lean. Having a muscular aesthetic back is always going to be the best thing that you could do. And also, it's just very attractive to have vascularity, and you really can't do that unless you're fit. So make sure you're training forearms as well. Now, it's one one thing to look good, because the next thing you gotta focus on is the way you smell. This is going to be another thing that makes people like you even more and remember you as well. So first of all, make sure that you never smell bad. This should be obvious, but taking a proper shower, using deodorant, and make sure that you're washing your clothes right. That is automatically going to make sure that you never smell bad. From here, using a good fragrance, especially one that fits the vibe to wherever you're going. Now, this is really only going to make you smell good for a couple hours. So if you want to see a video on how to smell good all day, then make sure to watch this video right here.